Hello, welcome to Most Policy Initiatives Office Hours, where we talk about science policy every Friday. So, a couple of updates. My name is Jenny Bratburd. I'm a policy fellow for Most Policy Initiative, and filling in for Dan today, which is fun. If you want to know more about Most Policy Initiative, look at the ticker below, which will take you to the website, or the Missouri Local Science Engagement Network, our affiliate. I want to give an update about an upcoming event that is the Mental Health in Missouri Roundtable, which will be at the end of the month in May. And it's going to be a great conversation about mental health access in Missouri, and really looking forward to it. So join us for that event at the end of this month, which will be streaming on the same places that you're watching now, on Facebook and YouTube. Okay, and today we have our guest, one of our fellows, Dr. Hannah Elder. Let's see if this works. Hello, you are here. Can you hear me?
Hello, everyone. Yeah. Yes, I can hear you just fine.
Okay, I'm getting a little bit of a lag on my end, so
Can you hear me?
hopefully the internet catches up a little bit. But Hannah, I was wondering if you could introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your background and how you got here.
Yeah, thank you, Jenny. Hi, everyone. I am a Most Fellow, like Jenny and all the others. Foremost, I am the first executive fellow within the Most program, and I'm kind of the little guinea pig or the pilot project because I'm the first one placed within the executive branch, and I'm working currently for the Department of Labor and Industrial Relations in Jefferson City. My degree is in human factors, which is a cross degree between psychology and engineering, in charge database collections, room for improvements and processes between the data and the workforce at Doler, and kind of drive that data-driven decision-making culture within government specifically.
Okay, thanks for that. I think we're having a little bit of a lag, but your background with psychology, you're working with Missouri Department of Labor, and interested in data-driven methods. And I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about what that data-driven work is looking like, or what you're hoping it's going to look like with the Department of Labor, and kind of the idea in general.
Yeah, so kind of what I was a little bit mentioning already before is data-driven decision-making is becoming, and has been in the past decade, more important than ever, not only to certain businesses in the economy, but especially also to government, because government is one of the instances that I would want to say has one of the most extensive data collections there is. And what we've been seeing is that even though there has been an abundance of data collected, there's not really anyone there who really gets into the weeds, so to say, and puts a lot of sense to it. So kind of a little bit picking back on what I said before is they bring in data scientists like me now to kind of be that translating link for the workforce that doesn't necessarily have the training in understanding the raw data, but is very well versed in reading graphs or understanding outputs of data. So I'm kind of there to get into the weeds, do all the data wrangling, and then present it in a way that it's understandable for a broader audience.
Great. Yeah. Well, it definitely sounds like very interesting work and probably very much needed. There's definitely a wealth of data that could be used in really useful ways. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more about maybe the Department of Labor as a whole, if you like, or just like how you think about fitting in with parts of their mission.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, the Department of Labor is one of the huge pillars within the executive branch, issuing um, any sort of workforce related decisions, but also being there to develop opportunities and grow the workforce within Missouri. I mean, things that we've been saying, especially in the Midwest, is that a lot of people might get their education here but are leaving. And that is not only one of the missions of Doler, is that they do not only want to provide more opportunity by analyzing data in a way that could actually make suggestions on how to maybe utilize their workforce better, but also to become more attractive in general to other people coming from other states, maybe even to Missouri. So they kind of have that. Then next to the opportunity mindset, they also kind of have a growth mindset there, that they want to combine and kind of leverage the data that they have to analyze it in that way that it can tell them certain patterns and make recommendations and actually drive those decisions that they make better in the way to support their overall goals. And I mean, one of the other things is not only the growth and opportunity that they're kind of pivoting on, but also analyzing current issues that are there. I mean, it's been broadcasted over the news with the overpayments that have been made, and those are reliquians of, well, I want to say old systems probably that just need to be updated and maybe more data-based in a way. To prevent future issues, because only in certain situations like the pandemic we will see that there are certain gaps in certain systems, because they are exploited in the way that you have so much data going through that eventually that will uncover certain issues that may have not been uncovered before just because they were so minor. So, and that is also one of the reasons why I was kind of hired on the spot whenever I applied, is because of that current issue within the pandemic that kind of exacerbated the need for data-driven decision making, and kind of going back and reiterating on what issues are there within the system that currently drive our decisions, and what can we learn from that for future circumstances like this, especially with the pandemic, and then kind of anticipate issues that can occur and then drive better decision making and improve overall system performance.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely been a very hot topic this year, what with the huge unemployment that happened, and then trying to get payment to people and potential overpayment. And it definitely highlighted, maybe overloaded the system in some ways. And so, it's interesting to take that perspective to think about potentially trying to prevent, uh,
And
the next problem.
frankly, you can't attribute the issues to one single cause. There's never, I mean, I know we humans like to think in categories, and we always like to pinpoint the issue to a single causing factor. But honestly, in cases like this that have so many factors that impact the decision in the end, it's just hard to pin it down to a single thing, especially when you rely on data that's given to you by a system that relies on certain rules that were established way before the issue actually occurred.
Yes, it can be pretty complex problems, but hopefully, with your data science skills, you can get to the bottom of it.
Well, I'm hoping. I'm at the surface right now. I think I only have the tip of the iceberg. I will say it takes a long time to actually get into the weeds and know all the different rules, because not only are there a lot of regulations through law, but then again, that is only the one side of it. And then you have the other side of it, which is the data that essentially is built on those laws because it needs to obey the rules that are set by the law. So what I've been seeing so far is, like I said, only the tip of the iceberg, but I mean, you got to start somewhere. So
That's for sure. Yeah, so is there anything that you would like to talk about with your particular project? If you can get into specifics yet, I'm not sure if you can.
I mean, I have several projects, and I think the main thing that I was also brought on board for was creating scalable measures and dashboards, which is a huge topic. I don't know if people are familiar with the software Tableau, but it's a great way to visualize data for the broader audiences that I was talking about earlier. And that can be from a service manager to the exec level. And it's kind of the challenge right now to kind of build up that layering within Tableau, being the visualization tool, and kind of use the data and funnel it in the way that you display it for that certain target audience that wants to see only certain parts of that data visualized. And that will be specifically geared around questions that they have. So I'm kind of trying to approach it in the way right now. And this is obviously, generally speaking, it's not only a single project, but it's more for Dollar as a whole, is I'm trying on the one hand to understand the processes, the laws, and the regulations that feed into the data, but on the other hand, I'm trying to understand, what do people actually want to see? What questions do they have? What questions do they want answered? What is information that is essential to them, so that I can link it in the middle pretty much. And maybe that funnel, what I was talking about earlier, is a pretty good way to say it, or even a bottleneck if you want to say it like that. Just to kind of understand what are things that people are wanting to see, because data is only good in the way that it answers questions that you potentially have. Otherwise, there is really no sense to it, I want to say so, which is kind of sad because I know we have these mounds of data sitting around in a lot of places, but that's always the one thing I want to highlight whenever I talk to people, because they always think it's this black box, but then I'm in the end like, well, I don't know. I feel like you just need the tools to leverage in the way and model it in the way and mold it in the way that it will answer the question that you have. So that is pretty much what I'm working on. I don't have a particular project really per se, but I'm building my own projects.
Mm-hmm. Well, it sounds very exciting. I mean, I can definitely relate, being a former academic, to the idea of like you have a lot of data and you need to know what kind of question to be able to use that. So it's interesting to see that reflected on the government perspective as well. And it sounds like a great opportunity. Do you see maybe making with more visualization of this data, like making it more available to the public potentially as an aim?
Yeah, one big topic is not only leveraging data for within, but actually increasing transparency in decisions, which I think is a huge problem in policymaking a lot of times. Is that final layer is missing, which is the communication to the public. And I feel like visualizations are a really good way to kind of put a lot of complex information into a very compact format and actually be able to communicate a message without even having to communicate necessarily. Because what you want in the end is, you want your question answered by simply taking a look at a visualization and having a standalone message by being able visually to interpret the message of the graph in the way that it answers your question. So that's kind of what I'm trying to anticipate, and where we're actually going to go at. And one of the things that they're currently revisiting is actually remodeling some of their website for more usability, adjusting some of the languages, basically having better goal attainment strategies for constituents who visit the website and then are navigated to the information that they want very quickly and intuitively.
Great. Well, I look forward to seeing what comes of it. It sounds really exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, are there any other final thoughts that you'd like to leave us with?
I'm very happy that I think the stuff that comes from industry and that I think a lot of businesses have practiced, especially newer companies, in the sense of startups and kind of getting into iterative processes and getting into revisiting certain communication strategies of data, is finally hopping over into the government sector. I mean, I know they've been implementing a lot of things already, but I feel like with me in this unique position of kind of being a translator, I still want to say, or a facilitator of the data culture by building that link between the actual database and then communication to the outside, not only within, but also externally. I think that offers them a big opportunity to actually take the next step in, yeah, becoming more transparent and accessible. And yeah, I mean, eventually towards more data-driven decision making and implementing a data culture.
Great. Well, it sounds like you've got some great goals and a lot to work on. So, thank you for joining us today. And I hope we'll see you on a future Science Policy Office Hours, I'm sure, to talk more about upcoming developments.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so that was our Science Policy Office Hours. Once again, want to highlight that we're going to have this Mental Health in Missouri roundtable coming up at the end of the month. So join us for that. It's going to be very interesting. You can find more information on our websites. And, thank you for joining us.